Grief touches us all, altering our lives through the loss of loved ones, aspirations, or familiar ways of being. It's an emotional journey that can leave us reeling, feeling profoundly lost and disconnected. However, there is a venerable philosophy, Stoicism, that provides a roadmap through these harrowing times. Stoicism, with its deep historical roots, teaches us to embrace these hardships not merely as burdens, but as opportunities for personal growth and strengthening. In the following discussion, we'll delve into how Stoic principles can help us manage our grief effectively, allowing us to emerge not just intact but enriched by our experiences. Chapter 1: The Stoic Perspective on Grief and Loss. Grief and loss are inevitable parts of the human experience, woven into life from our first breath. We must face the reality that everything will eventually end. The bonds we form, the dreams we chase, and the material possessions we gather are all transient, subject to the relentless march of time and change. In these moments of loss, we often feel most vulnerable and fragile. The pain of grief can be overwhelming, threatening to drown us in sorrow and despair. In these dark hours, the wisdom of the ancient Stoic philosophers shines brightest, offering hope and resilience. At the heart of Stoic philosophy is a fundamental truth: while we cannot control the external events that shape our lives, we can control our responses to them. This principle is captured in the words of Epictetus, the former slave who became a prominent Stoic teacher. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The Stoics did not see grief and loss as emotions to be suppressed or denied. Instead, they recognized these experiences as natural and unavoidable aspects of the human condition. What set the Stoics apart was their belief that while we cannot prevent loss, we can choose how we respond to it. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, embodied this ideal. When his beloved wife Annia Galeria Fausta passed away, he did not succumb to despair or neglect his duties as a leader. Inspired by Stoic teachings, he continued with fortitude and acceptance, acknowledging the loss while maintaining his composure and fulfilling his responsibilities. Accepting what lies beyond our control is central to Stoic thought. As Epictetus wrote, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." The Stoics understood that certain aspects of life, such as death and loss, are beyond our ability to influence. Rather than fighting these inevitabilities, they taught that true wisdom lies in acknowledging them with grace and composure. This is not to say that the Stoics advocated for a life without emotion or attachment. On the contrary, they valued forming meaningful connections and pursuing worthwhile goals. However, they also recognized that our happiness and fulfillment should not depend on the permanence of these external factors. Instead, the Stoics encouraged us to develop inner resilience, a strength of character that allows us to face life's storms with composure. By accepting what we cannot control and focusing on what is within our power, we can navigate even the most turbulent waters with inner peace and purpose. This mindset is beautifully captured in another quote from Marcus Aurelius: "Our life is what our thoughts make it." In essence, while the external world is constantly changing, our inner world, our thoughts, attitudes, and responses is what truly shapes our experience. By embracing this Stoic philosophy, we can reframe our perspective on grief and loss. Rather than seeing them as insurmountable obstacles, we can view them as natural parts of the human experience, opportunities for growth and self-discovery. Just as the changing seasons are part of the natural cycle, so are the ebbs and flows of joy and sorrow woven into our existence. Through this lens of acceptance and inner resilience, we find the strength to navigate the turbulent waters of grief. By acknowledging the inevitability of loss and maintaining a steadfast focus on what is within our control, we can emerge from the darkest storms not merely intact but fortified, our spirits tempered by adversity, our resolve strengthened by the wisdom of the ancient Stoics. Focus on what is within your control, as the Stoic perspective advises. Chapter 2: Focus on what is within your control. The Stoic philosophy teaches us to accept what we cannot control offering a powerful framework for directing our energy and efforts toward what we can influence. It is in these areas, where our choices and actions matter, that we can find solace and purpose in the face of grief and loss. Marcus Aurelius eloquently stated, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This insight reminds us that our suffering often comes not from external circumstances, but from our reactions and judgments about them. When we lose a loved one, a cherished dream, or a way of life, it is natural for emotions to run high. Sadness, anger, and a sense of injustice can overwhelm us, clouding our vision and consuming our thoughts. Yet in these moments, Stoic teachings offer a path forward, a way to reclaim our inner peace and composure. We can channel our energy into constructive outlets by shifting our focus to what lies within our control. While we may be unable to prevent or undo the loss, we can choose how we respond. Do we allow ourselves to be consumed by despair, lashing out at others, and neglecting our responsibilities? Or do we consciously direct our thoughts and actions towards personal growth, self-care, and pursuing meaningful endeavors? The choice is ultimately ours, a reality that the Stoics understood well. For them, true freedom and fulfillment lay not in external circumstances, but in the power we wield over our minds and choices. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher and advisor to Emperor Nero, embodied this principle in his life. When faced with the losses of his son and father-in-law, he did not succumb to the depths of grief. Instead, he maintained a sense of emotional balance, writing, "Grief is a natural response to loss, but it should not be allowed to consume us." Seneca's words remind us that grief is a natural and valid emotion, but it need not define or limit us. By maintaining emotional equilibrium, we can navigate the turbulent waters of loss with clarity and purpose, directing our actions towards constructive outlets that serve our well-being and the greater good. In the modern world, we can find countless examples of individuals embodying this Stoic principle, channeling their grief into positive change and personal growth. Consider the story of a young woman who, upon losing her mother to cancer, chose to honor her memory by volunteering at a local hospice, offering comfort and support to others facing similar struggles. Rather than allowing her grief to consume her, this woman focused her energy on what was within her control, her ability to provide compassion and service to those in need. In doing so, she not only found solace and purpose in the face of her loss, but also made a meaningful difference in the lives of others. Such stories remind us that even in our darkest moments, we possess the innate capacity to transform our pain into something positive and transformative. By consciously focusing on what is within our control, we can reclaim our sense of agency and empowerment, creating a narrative of growth and resilience in the face of adversity. Of course, this is not to say that the journey is easy. Maintaining emotional balance and directing our energy towards constructive outlets requires discipline, self-awareness, and a commitment to personal growth. Yet the rewards of such efforts are immeasurable. In doing so, we honor the memory of those we have lost and cultivate the strength and wisdom to navigate future challenges with grace and composure. The Stoics understood this well, a lesson that remains as relevant today as it was centuries ago. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, focusing on what lies within our control offers a sense of grounding and purpose, a lighthouse guiding us through the storms of life. So let us embrace this Stoic wisdom and cultivate the courage to direct our thoughts and actions toward what we can influence. By doing so, we honor the inevitable losses that life brings and pave the way for personal growth, emotional resilience, and a deeper appreciation for the fleeting beauty of the present moment. Chapter 3. Maintain perspective. In the depths of grief and loss, it is easy to be consumed by the weight of our sorrow, losing sight of the broader tapestry of life and the impermanence that governs all things. Yet in these moments, the Stoic teachings offer a powerful antidote, a way to maintain perspective and find equilibrium amidst the turbulence. As Epictetus reminded us, it's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things. These words encapsulate the Stoic understanding that change is inevitable and fundamental to existence. From the cycles of the seasons to the rise and fall of civilizations, all things are subject to the relentless flow of impermanence. In this context, the Stoics encouraged us to view grief and loss not as aberrations to be resisted, but as natural phases woven into the fabric of life. Just as the verdant splendor of spring gives way to the vibrant hues of autumn, we must embrace the ebb and flow of joy and sorrow, gain and loss, as part of the cosmic dance. By maintaining this broader perspective, we can find solace in the knowledge that our experiences, no matter how profound or devastating, are part of a greater cycle that has unfolded since the dawn of time and will continue long after we are gone. In doing so, we can resist the temptation to be consumed by our grief and instead approach it with acceptance and equanimity. This is not to say that the Stoics advocated for a life devoid of emotion or attachment. On the contrary, they recognized the value and richness of forming deep bonds and pursuing meaningful endeavors. However, they also understood that true fulfillment and inner peace could only be achieved by maintaining a sense of perspective, recognizing that all things, no matter how cherished, are ultimately transient. The Roman statesman and philosopher Cicero embodied this Stoic principle in his own life, finding solace in the teachings of philosophy after the devastating loss of his beloved daughter Tullia. In a letter to a friend, he wrote, "I have had recourse to our old plan of consolation drawn from philosophical studies." Cicero's words remind us that in our darkest moments, we can find strength and comfort in the timeless wisdom of those who have grappled with these universal experiences. By drawing upon the Stoic teachings and maintaining a sense of perspective, we can navigate even the most profound losses with grace and resilience. But how can we cultivate this sense of perspective in the face of grief and loss? The Stoics offered several practical steps and techniques that remain as relevant today as they were centuries ago. One such practice is cultivating mindfulness, the art of being fully present in the current moment without becoming consumed by the past or future. By training our minds to stay grounded in the here and now, we can resist the temptation to become overwhelmed by the weight of our grief or the fear of future losses. Consider, for example, the simple act of taking a deep breath and allowing ourselves to fully experience the sensation of air filling our lungs. In that moment, we are neither dwelling on the past nor anxious about what will come. We are present, alive and aware. From this place of presence, we can regain our sense of perspective, recognizing that even amid our suffering, there is beauty and meaning to be found in the fleeting present. Another powerful technique is the practice of gratitude, consciously acknowledging and appreciating the blessings and joys that still exist in our lives, no matter how small or fleeting they may seem. By cultivating gratitude, we can counterbalance the weight of our grief and remind ourselves of the inherent goodness and beauty that still surrounds us, even in our darkest hours. In the modern world, we can find countless examples of individuals who have embodied this Stoic principle of maintaining perspective in the face of loss. Consider the story of a young man who, after losing his father to cancer, found solace in hiking. With each step along the trail, he was reminded of the cyclical nature of life, the way the seasons ebb and flow, the way life emerges from decay and death. In those moments, surrounded by the majesty of the natural world, he gained a sense of perspective, recognizing that his profound grief was part of a larger tapestry of existence that had unfolded since the dawn of time. Through this lens, he could honor his father's memory and find solace in the present moment, even as he navigated the depths of his sorrow. This same perspective, rooted in the timeless wisdom of the Stoics, can guide us all through life's inevitable losses and transitions. Just as the changing seasons remind us of the impermanence of all things, the Stoic teachings offer us a way to maintain equilibrium and find meaning amid grief and loss. By embracing the cyclical nature of existence, cultivating mindfulness and gratitude, and drawing upon the wisdom of those who have walked this path, we can navigate even the darkest storms with grace and resilience. In doing so, we honor the memory of those we have lost and pave the way for a life lived with greater depth, purpose, and appreciation for the fleeting beauty of the present moment. Draw strength from philosophy in the face of grief and loss. Chapter 4. Draw strength from philosophy. It can be tempting to seek solace in temporary distractions or fleeting pleasures. Yet the Stoic philosophers understood that true solace and resilience can only be found by drawing strength from the wellspring of wisdom, by immersing ourselves in the timeless teachings that have guided countless individuals through life's most profound challenges. At the heart of this philosophy lies a practice known as negative visualization, a concept that may seem paradoxical at first glance, but offers a powerful tool for navigating the turbulent waters of grief and loss. The idea behind negative visualization is to consciously meditate on the potential for loss and adversity, to envision and accept the inevitability of change and impermanence. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca warned, "He who indulges empty fears earns himself real fears." By confronting our fears and anxieties head-on and acknowledging the transient nature of all things we hold dear, we can cultivate a sense of readiness and resilience, a strength of character that allows us to weather even the most devastating storms. This practice may seem counterintuitive, even morbid, to those unfamiliar with Stoic thought. Why, one might ask, would we intentionally dwell on the prospect of loss and suffering? Yet this willingness to confront our deepest fears and insecurities is at the heart of the Stoic approach. The Stoics understood that denying or avoiding the reality of loss only heightens our vulnerability when it inevitably occurs. By contrast, those who have cultivated the practice of negative visualization are better equipped to face adversity with equanimity, having already confronted and accepted the impermanence of all things. Seneca himself embodied this principle, enduring the losses of exile and the confiscation of his wealth with a remarkable sense of Stoic detachment. His writings remind us that circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself. A powerful reminder that it is not the external events that define us, but rather our inner responses and resilience in the face of adversity. In the modern world, we can find countless examples of individuals who have drawn strength from this Stoic practice, using negative visualization to cultivate emotional resilience and prepare for life's inevitable challenges. Consider the story of a young woman who, after losing her mother to a sudden illness, found solace in the practice of negative visualization. Each morning, she would spend a few moments envisioning the loss of her loved ones, acknowledging the impermanence of life and the inevitability of change. While this practice may have seemed morbid to some, for this young woman, it served as a powerful reminder to cherish each moment, appreciate life's fleeting beauty, and cultivate the inner strength necessary to navigate even the most profound losses. When tragedy did strike, when she faced the reality of her mother's passing, she was better prepared, not immune to grief, but possessing the emotional grit and resilience to weather the storm with grace and composure. Of course, the practice of negative visualization is not a panacea, nor is it a means of escaping the deep pain and sorrow that accompany profound loss. The Stoics did not advocate for a life devoid of emotion or attachment, but for a balanced approach acknowledging the full spectrum of human experience while cultivating the wisdom and resilience to navigate even the most turbulent waters. In this sense, negative visualization is not an end unto itself, but rather a tool, a means of preparing ourselves for the inevitable challenges that life will bring and cultivating the strength of character necessary to face them with courage and grace. However, the Stoic teachings offer more than just this single practice. They provide a comprehensive framework for living a life of purpose, meaning, and inner peace. This philosophy has guided countless individuals through life's most profound challenges. From Marcus Aurelius's writings to Epictetus's teachings, the Stoic canon offers a wealth of wisdom and practical strategies for cultivating resilience, maintaining perspective, and finding solace in even the darkest moments. So let us draw upon this wellspring of knowledge, immersing ourselves in the timeless teachings that have sustained generations before us. For it is in these ancient words that we can find the strength and guidance to navigate the turbulent waters of grief and loss, emerging not merely intact but fortified, our spirits tempered by the fires of adversity, our resolve strengthened by the wisdom of those who have walked this path before us. In doing so, we honor the memory of those we have lost and pave the way for a life lived with greater depth, purpose, and appreciation for the fleeting beauty of the present moment, a life guided by the eternal wisdom of the Stoic philosophers. Chapter 5: Real-Life Applications and Inspirational Stories. While the Stoic philosophies we have explored thus far may seem lofty and abstract, it is in their practical application that their true power and relevance become apparent. The wisdom of the ancient Stoics is not merely a collection of esoteric ideas, but a living, breathing framework for navigating the most profound challenges of the human experience, including the inescapable realities of grief and loss. Throughout history, countless individuals have drawn upon these teachings to find solace, resilience, and even personal growth in the face of unimaginable adversity. Their stories serve as a testament to the enduring relevance of Stoic thought and as a source of inspiration for those of us grappling with the complexities of grief and loss. Let us begin with the story of Zingonia, a Roman matron who lived during the tumultuous times of the Republic. When her husband and sons were unjustly executed by the dictator Sulla, Zingonia found herself consumed by grief and despair. Yet, it was in the writings of the Stoics that she found solace and direction, embracing their teachings on the impermanence of life and the importance of maintaining perspective. As the historian Plutarch recounts, Zingonia bore her afflictions with a truly philosophical spirit, exhibiting no lack of fortitude but, on the contrary, a noble and majestic demeanor worthy of royal birth. Her story is a powerful reminder that Stoic philosophies can offer a path towards resilience and inner strength, even in the darkest moments. Centuries later, we find another example in the life of Boethius, a Roman statesman and philosopher who faced imprisonment and eventual execution on trumped-up charges of treason. During his incarceration, Boethius penned his masterwork, The Consolation of Philosophy, a treatise that drew heavily upon Stoic principles and offered solace to countless individuals facing their own struggles and losses. In his writings, Boethius reminds us that true happiness and fulfillment cannot be found in external possessions or circumstances, but within our own minds and attitudes. Another modern example is Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor who found meaning and purpose in the midst of profound suffering. Drawing upon Stoic principles, Frankl developed logotherapy, a form of psychotherapy centered on finding meaning in life. His experiences and writings, particularly Man's Search for Meaning, highlight how a shift in perspective and the cultivation of inner resilience can help individuals endure even the most harrowing circumstances. These stories, from ancient Rome to the 20th century, illustrate the timeless and universal applicability of Stoic principles. They show us that by embracing the teachings of the Stoics, we can navigate the storms of life with grace, finding strength and meaning even in our darkest hours. Through mindfulness, gratitude, and negative visualization, we can prepare ourselves for the inevitable losses we will face, cultivating a resilience that allows us to emerge not only intact but fortified by our experiences. As we draw upon this wellspring of knowledge, we honor the memory of those we have lost and pave the way for a life lived with greater depth, purpose, and appreciation for the fleeting beauty of the present moment. By following the examples of those who have walked this path before us, we can find the strength to face our own challenges with courage and grace, guided by the eternal wisdom of the Stoic philosophers. But in cultivated inner virtue and wisdom, the highest good, he wrote, is that which, when it is present, leaves no room for the desire of anything else. These ancient examples serve as a powerful testament to the enduring relevance of Stoic thought and as a reminder that even in the face of the most profound losses, it's possible to find solace, strength, and even personal growth through these timeless teachings. However, we need not look solely at the annals of history to find inspiration. In the modern world, countless individuals have embodied the Stoic principles we have explored, using them as a compass to navigate the turbulent waters of grief and loss. Consider the story of Jane, a young woman who faced the devastating loss of her husband in a tragic accident. In the depths of her grief, she turned to the writings of the Stoics, finding solace in their teachings on acceptance, perspective, and the importance of focusing on what lies within our control. Through mindfulness and gratitude, Jane gradually regained a sense of equilibrium, acknowledging the depth of her loss while recognizing the blessings and beauty still present in her life. As she delved deeper into Stoic philosophy, she found the strength to channel her grief into positive action, becoming an advocate for mental health awareness and support for others navigating their journeys of loss and healing. The Stoics taught me that while I cannot control the circumstances of my husband's passing, I can control how I respond to it, Jane shared. By focusing on what lies within my sphere of influence, I have been able to find purpose and meaning in the midst of my grief and use my experiences to make a positive impact on the world around me. Such stories are a powerful reminder that the Stoic teachings are not merely relics of a bygone era, but a living, breathing philosophy that can offer solace, strength, and direction in even the most trying circumstances. As we navigate our own journeys of grief and loss, we too can draw inspiration and guidance from these timeless principles. Let us embrace the wisdom of the ancients and seek to embody their teachings in our daily lives. Let us cultivate mindfulness, gratitude, and negative visualization practices, using them to build emotional resilience and maintain perspective in the face of adversity. Let us find solace and strength in the stories of those who have walked this path before us, the Zingonias, the Boethiuses, and the Janes of the world who have used Stoic philosophies as a compass to navigate the turbulent waters of grief and emerge not merely intact but fortified, their spirits tempered by the fires of adversity and their resolve strengthened by the wisdom of the ages. In doing so, we not only honor the memory of those we have lost, but also pave the way for a life lived with greater depth, purpose, and appreciation for the fleeting beauty of the present moment, a life guided by the eternal wisdom of the Stoic philosophers. Chapter 6: Integrating Stoic Strategies for Holistic Growth. One foundational truth has become abundantly clear as we have explored the various Stoic strategies for navigating grief and loss. These teachings are not isolated but form an interconnected tapestry of wisdom and insight. To truly harness the power of Stoicism in the face of life's most significant challenges, we must integrate and embody these principles holistically and cohesively. The Stoics understood that true resilience and fulfillment could only be achieved through a comprehensive approach that recognized the interdependence of our thoughts, emotions, and actions, and sought to cultivate balance and harmony across all aspects of our being. Virtue is at the heart of this holistic philosophy. True happiness and well-being can only be found through cultivating virtuous character traits such as wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Through the embodiment of these virtues, the Stoics believed we could find the strength and fortitude to navigate even the most turbulent of life's storms. As we seek to apply the Stoic teachings to our journeys of grief and loss, we must strive to integrate and harmonize the various strategies we've explored: acceptance, perspective, focus on what we can control, and drawing strength from philosophy itself. The true power of these principles is revealed through their synergy, allowing us not only to deal with loss, but also to grow and evolve in the face of hardship. We emerge from grief with a renewed sense of purpose, resilience, and appreciation for the fleeting beauty of the present moment. Consider, for example, the practice of acceptance, the willingness to embrace what lies beyond our control rather than railing against the inevitable. While this principle may seem straightforward in theory, it requires a deep well of inner strength and fortitude in practice. This kind of resilience can only be cultivated by consistently applying Stoic teachings across all areas of our lives. Acknowledging the reality of impermanence and change on an intellectual level is not enough. We must also cultivate emotional and psychological resilience to embody this acceptance and approach life's losses and transitions with serenity and grace. This is where the other Stoic strategies we've explored come into play. By maintaining perspective and recognizing the cyclical nature of existence and the inevitability of change, we can better navigate the emotional turbulence that accompanies loss. This perspective allows us to see our experiences as part of a larger, universal pattern, providing a sense of continuity and connection that can be deeply comforting in times of grief. Moreover, focusing on what we can control helps us channel our energy and efforts into constructive actions, rather than being consumed by feelings of helplessness or despair. This focus empowers us to take meaningful steps towards healing and growth, whether through mindfulness practices, gratitude exercises, or acts of service and compassion. Drawing strength from philosophy itself reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles. We stand on the shoulders of countless individuals who have faced similar challenges and found solace and wisdom in these teachings. By immersing ourselves in the timeless words of the Stoics, we tap into a rich vein of collective human experience, gaining insights and inspiration that can guide us through our darkest moments. To integrate these Stoic strategies holistically, we must weave them into the fabric of our daily lives. Practicing acceptance, maintaining perspective, focusing on what we can control, and drawing strength from philosophy are not isolated actions, but interconnected practices that support and reinforce each other. Together, they form a comprehensive approach to personal growth and resilience, enabling us to face life's inevitable losses with courage and grace. As we cultivate these practices, we honor the memory of those we have lost and pave the way for a life lived with greater depth, purpose, and appreciation for the present moment. Guided by the eternal wisdom of the Stoic philosophers, we can transform our grief into a source of strength and emerge from our challenges fortified and enriched by the experience. We can find solace and grounding in the knowledge that our experiences, no matter how profound, are part of a larger tapestry that has unfolded since the dawn of time. By focusing our energy and efforts on what lies within our control, our thoughts, attitudes, and actions, we can reclaim a sense of agency and empowerment, directing our energies towards constructive outlets that serve our well-being and the greater good. Finally, by drawing strength from the wellspring of Stoic philosophy itself, immersing ourselves in the timeless teachings and practices that have sustained generations before us, we can fortify our spirits and cultivate the inner fortitude necessary to navigate even the most profound losses with courage and grace. It's through the harmonious integration of these principles that we can truly embody the essence of Stoic wisdom, transforming it from a mere intellectual exercise into a lived and embodied experience, a way of being that permeates every aspect of our lives and provides a sturdy foundation upon which to build a life of meaning, purpose, and resilience. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us, circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself. In other words, it is not the external events and challenges we face that define us, but rather our responses to them, our ability to maintain perspective, to focus on what lies within our control, and to draw upon the timeless wisdom of those who have walked this path before us. And so, as we navigate the inevitable losses and transitions that life will bring, let us strive to embody these Stoic principles in their entirety, integrating them into the very fabric of our being and allowing them to guide us through even the darkest of storms. It is in this holistic embrace of Stoic wisdom that we can find the strength and resilience to not only cope with grief and loss, but to thrive and grow in their midst. By living in accordance with these teachings, we honor the memory of those we have lost and pave the way for a life filled with greater depth, purpose, and appreciation for the fleeting beauty of the present moment, a life guided by the eternal wisdom of the Stoic philosophers. But to grow and evolve in the face of adversity, emerging from the depths of sorrow with a renewed sense of purpose, gratitude, and appreciation for the fleeting beauty of the present moment. In doing so, we honor the memory of those we have lost and pave the way for a life lived with greater depth, authenticity, and alignment with the eternal truths that have sustained generations of seekers and sages throughout the ages. So let us embark upon this journey of integration and embodiment, allowing the timeless wisdom of the Stoics to permeate every aspect of our being, our thoughts, emotions, and actions. For it is only through this holistic embrace that we can truly harness the transformative power of this ancient philosophy and emerge from the crucible of grief and loss not merely intact but forever changed, our spirits fortified by the fires of adversity, our resolve strengthened by the wisdom of the ages, and our lives imbued with a newfound sense of purpose, resilience, and gratitude for the fleeting beauty of the present moment. As we end our exploration, I'd like to share some Stoic quotes about grief and loss that might be helpful. The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it. Marcus Aurelius. This quote reminds us that while change and loss are inevitable, we can shape our experience through our thoughts and attitudes. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus. The Stoics taught that we cannot control external events, but we can control how we respond to them, including our reactions to grief and loss. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Marcus Aurelius. Our suffering often arises from our judgments and perceptions rather than external circumstances. We have the power to change our perspectives and find inner peace. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Epictetus. While we cannot prevent loss, we can focus our efforts on what is within our control: our thoughts, actions, and responses. The universe's transformation, our life, is what our thoughts make it. Marcus Aurelius. Echoing the earlier quote, this reminds us to embrace change's cyclical nature and cultivate resilient thoughts and attitudes. Grief is a natural response to loss, but it is through Stoic principles that we find the strength to endure and transform our sorrow into a deeper appreciation for life and its impermanent beauty. But it should not be allowed to consume us. Seneca. The Stoics acknowledged grief as a valid emotion, but encouraged us to maintain perspective and not let it overwhelm us completely. He who indulges empty fears earns himself real fears. Seneca. Negative visualization can help us prepare for and accept the inevitability of loss rather than indulging in unproductive fears. Circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself. Epictetus. Our true character is revealed not by external events, but by how we respond to them, including our reactions to grief and adversity. The universe is flux, life is opinion. Marcus Aurelius. While the external world is ever changing, our inner world, our thoughts and perspectives, ultimately shapes our experience of life and loss. These quotes, along with the explored wisdom and strategies, offer a robust framework for navigating grief and loss with resilience, perspective, and a deep appreciation for the present moment. By integrating these Stoic principles into our lives, we can find the strength to endure adversity and transform our sorrow into a greater appreciation for life's fleeting beauty. Through acceptance, perspective, focusing on what lies within our control, and drawing strength from Stoic philosophy, we honor the memory of those we have lost and pave the way for a life lived with greater depth, purpose, and resilience.